Welcome back to my spiritual experience with your host, your brother Sadiqullah. I want to talk to you, and I want to talk about um, our spiritual experience, our life, and are we reaching our highest points? Are we reaching our fullest potential? And it's not for you to answer me in this commentary, right? It's for you to question yourself in this way, right? Um, I think most of us have accepted a mediocre version of life, something that we've grown content with that is just enough, or is, something that we can find to be okay, but it's nowhere near our purpose and our potential. And I don't think it's cool that we accept less than who we are. I don't think it's cool that we settle for anything in this world. I think that we have the opportunity in our lifetime to overcome all of the things that have stopped us from expressing ourselves. I think at the heights of your expression is where you will gain the heights of your ability, the heights of your potential, the richness of your experience of life. I think all of that comes through expression. And I don't mean, like I said, just with words, but we have so many ways of expressing ourselves, right? But we limit ourselves in those aspects of expression because we've allowed so many of the factors of the matrix, factors of the world, factors of the social engineering and the social structure of our own communities and households sometimes to limit our ideas about who we are, right? About the capabilities and the possibilities that we could have for our lives, for ourselves as individuals, and even as a human species, right? So, your brother, myself, I have always been one who believed that our human potential and our capabilities were way farther extended than what we've ever been taught. Like, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, right? I was born in 73. So, we watched a lot of karate movies, Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon, a bunch of karate movies. And, they would show you these cats jumping high and doing, mystical, magical moves and whatnot. And, so I always had the belief that this wasn't so far-fetched and that it's just that we have not tapped into our capabilities because we're not in a society where that is a common thing to think is possible. And I believe that is true of many of our gifts and talents and, capabilities and natural aptitudes, and so if you are in a household where that gift that you have or that natural ability that you have is not nurtured or supported or even sometimes talked down at and ta, if you've getting that from the inside of the house and the whole of your surroundings and your community, then it's natural for you not to express it because it's drawing negative feedback versus support and positive feedback. So, with that, we got, the social circles at school, right? Most of school in America is about social organization, right? Your socializing skills just as much as learning the arithmetic and the 3 R's, as they say, right? Reading, writing, whatever. Anyway, that is so much a part of who you become. And that is where most of us get molded out of our real selves, our natural selves, our individualized selves into the herd mentality or the communal thinking because we trying to fit in, right? When you 9 and 10 and 11 and 14 and 16, you're trying to fit in. You want everybody to, you want to be cool. You want to, you want to be in the crowd. You want to be in the in crowd. And so, a lot of us, well, I don't know how, I guess you could say, suppress, right? Suppress our natural gifts, our abilities, our talents, our skills, our, whatever, because they don't really fit into the crowd. The crowd ain't talking about that. They talking about shoes. They talking about the new music, the movie, or whatever, society throwing at, the herd at that time. You know what I mean? And so many of us reshaped ourselves from the original form that the creator put us here as, and we formed ourselves into things, into people, into beings that are related to our environment and things that have happened to us, bad things that have happened to us generally. We mold ourselves, it seems, and we remember the negative things in life way more than we do positive things in life. That's an odd human trait. I've never really tried to delve into that to discern why that is, but it seems to be true. And so with all of these being the factors of how we become who we are, how we mold ourselves to believe what we believe about ourselves and our capabilities and our abilities and, our power, our influence, right? All of these things are part of being a human being. And in many cases, like I said, that being smothered from outside and because of how we want to be accepted, even from inside, right? But at some point, especially as an adult, right? I used to have a thing because I don't know, for a number of years, for the last 20 years, I've worked with people who try to help other people, right? So I know people who work with the homeless community and whatnot, and they would always offer me to come and help with the homeless community. And there were a time or two where I did go and help the homeless community, but I never really felt it like what I feel towards the children, right? And so, I'm gonna be honest, there was a level of judgment, because it's like, a child don't have a choice in their scenario. You born, you grow into the household, whoever the parents are that you're born under. And so you don't really have a say so in how life plays out until you reach a certain age. And so I always felt a extra tug in my heart for the babies, because I realized that they come here with so much light and so much love and so much joy, and they just full of happiness and full of interconnected love, and they just love to, they love them. They balls of love and light. And so I really enjoy recognizing the new energy that comes to the earth through the children, right? That's a beautiful thing. And so I have a great desire to protect it as much as possible, and for us to, as a society, recognize that is where the value will be coming from, that will change our future, right? So let me continue to explain about the homeless thing, why I would help the children versus the homeless thing, right? So I always felt like, by some measure or another, an adult who ended up in a homeless situation, and this is not to be extremely judgmental, but that it had something to do with their own decision making. Unlike children, whose situations can end up extremely dire, and it's not a choice that they've made. So do you understand the difference? And so it's not that I don't care or have compassion for homeless people, but it's just that the children have never had a chance or a choice in the matter. And so the necessity to protect them is vital and urgent and prescient and obvious, right? I think that's just the nature of a man, and at least a man who has not lost his humanity, and the nature of humanity who has not lost their humanity, to protect the youth, to protect the children, to protect the innocents, and to attempt to discover, this is out of further research, understanding that the way that we were molded into who we are, our beliefs started as a child, right? And that who is the they? All right. To the day. All right, but that the school system, the educational system in the West was not designed for the individual to stand out, reach its highest potential, nurture their special gifts, right? At least not in Detroit public schools. We'll say that, all right? That's where I grew up. So when you know, maybe in your school, in your public system, because you had a different tax bracket, you got a different scenario. But the fact of the matter is, that's not generally even the basis of the public educational system, as we know, goes back to, you know, the Rockefellers and them creating a system that is designed to create workers, et cetera, et cetera. So if you are to reach your highest potential, it will take something extracurricular, something extra special, something that you do outside of what the regular school system is going to teach you. And so you have to be able to discipline yourself to some degree in order to be yourself, just to be yourself. That's crazy. That's what we're talking about. Just being able to express who you really are into this world, because by design, it's not ordered that you do, right? It's ordered that you protect yourself, that you stay protected, that you know, that's why it's so hard for us to pull out our gifts and display them to the world. But when you do, they are a benefit for you and everybody who sees those gifts. That is the trick. That's the trick, right? They've tricked us into accepting a mediocre way of life, not even trying for our heights, right? Not even trying for our dreams and our goals and our wishes and our possibilities and our visions and our ideas and our thoughts about what our life should, could, and would be. So my thing is I think that's sad. I think it's heartbreaking, but I understand how it happens, right? Over a lifetime of tragic disappointments and you know, heartbreaks and just, you know, so many things that have marred and scarred us internally, mentally, psychologically, spiritually. You know, things people can't let go. All of this kind of shit is really like just blocks in your life. And so the goal has to be to eliminate those things, all of the marks, all of the scars, all of the protections, all of the cages, all of the shells, all of the armor that we've put on to live in this world. You know, I think it says for us to get into heaven, we have to return to the state of a babe, right? State of a babe is innocence, right? Innocence, love, what I'm talking about. You know, that 5-year-old, remember that. I remember that. I remember when I was 5 years old. I remember it was a story. I'm gonna tell you a story. I was 5 years old, running around in the neighborhood. Had an older lady named Miss Francis, who was a friend of mine, and she used to give me gifts. She gave me large boxes of like popsicles, lollipops, you know, candy apples, different stuff like that. And it was way more than I could eat for myself, being an individual at 5 years old. But she would always tell me not to share. And that was the first time life got complicated for me. And so here we are. I have to start calculating life at 5 years old. And I remember that. I always go back to 5 years old because I believe when I do these interviews, right? If you've watched the show, I do interviews with other people about their spiritual experiences. So many times, often I've heard about 5 years old. That's generally when people kind of get some kind of inkling of the consciousness of who they are, or the consciousness of some spiritual experience, or around 5 years old. So that happened for me. But yeah, a whole lot of stuff happened for me at 5, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm talking about, are we reaching our fullest potential? Have we given up on the opportunity or the possibility of reaching our fullest potential? And if we have, it's understandable. I hate it for you. I regret it for you. It makes me angry at the world for you. I've long been angry at the world. When I talk about, I cry for the world sometimes. This is literal. Tears come out of my eyes. My heart is broken because I realize that inside of every one of us is a magnificent soul that the Creator put here, originated from his thought, with an idea for that soul reaching its fullest potential. And whatever that potential is, it's going to be a beautiful thing. And I know that. But I also know that the system that we've grown up under was designed to hamper all of what I just mentioned. All of what the creator intended, the system seems to have put in place mechanisms and systems and uh, different orders and organizations of social setup and engineering and which makes it extremely hard for us to express ourselves, to be ourselves, and to reach our fullest potential. And so, for the adults who do and will pay attention to this, recognize that if you know that you didn't reach your fullest potential and that you still want to reach your fullest potential, so do I. I wish that for you myself. I pray that we all, as humans in this timeline, reach our fullest potential. We are at the gates of the transformation, and those who are still here have the opportunity to go forward into the kingdom that is to come. And so those who seek to reach their fullest potential, I hope, would be willing to make sure that our children reach their fullest potential, that our grandchildren reach their fullest potential, that we give them the opportunity to reach their fullest potential, that we are willing to stand up, fight, live, be, unalive and do the unaliving, if need be, to make sure that our children and our grandchildren have the opportunity to be themselves, reach their fullest potential as souls that come to this earth, blooming beautifully and creating a world that is unified, recognizing the oneness of us all. We are one human family. I would think at this point in time, with all of the UFOs and the AI Atlas and the government's telling you that there are other beings in the universe that visit us, whether they be from other planets or from other solar systems or from, what is other timelines, possibly even, what is it? They other just snap into your realm from their realm because they're from another dimension. However, there are other beings that are in existence with mankind. That has long been known. All of just about everything that I've ever read, whether it be historically or religiously, has noted throughout history that that is a fact, that is reality. And so us not recognizing that we are a human family and that there are aspects of our human family that we should be trying to merge, unite, work together so that we can all become the greatest version of this human family, as is the purpose and design for the earth. You idiot. Anyway, I think y'all know what I'm saying, man. God's kingdom is upon us, and we have the opportunity to enter that kingdom by moving towards what we know is right and light. And, I don't care about what can happen on this world physically to my own personal being. I know that my spirit and my intention has a design and a desire to bring about that which is part of the kingdom. And so those who may resist or disagree or want to stand against that idea, I don't concern myself with them. I don't even focus on them, because the fact of the matter is, you don't have a leg in this fight against my Father, the creator of the universe. So it's not like I'm going to lose. Right? It's impossible for me to lose. And so when I say, as I continue this path, I will become an example of what invincibility walks like. That ain't ego. I'm not saying that out of ego. I'm saying that out of the fact that I know that I am doing what my Father put me here to do. I am doing, to the most of my ability, what I can do towards my purpose for being here. Okay. And so being in alignment with that says I am invincible. And whatever happens to me, whatever comes to me, is for my education and elevation. Okay. And so whatever the they who are the they could do to me cannot be done to me unless he agrees that it is time for that to be done to me. So until that day, I am an invincible, and it is going to get stronger. And you have that opportunity to live from the experience of walking invincibly, because you are a part of that which is to come, which is the kingdom. I am an ambassador. I've told you this, and I don't deny this in any measure. And we will talk more about this on the next video, maybe, but definitely at the God Body Society meeting that is happening on December 13th from 11 to 2 at the Monroe County Public Library. And for those of you who don't know, I do need to make an announcement. On the BCAT Public Access channel, which is the Bloomington cable channel, they are airing on Monday night at 8 p.m. episodes of interviews and different versions of past episodes of this show, of My Spiritual Experience. And so I will shortly be going around into the public sphere seeking more people to interview about my spiritual experience or your spiritual experience, so that they can continue to be aired upon the BCAT channel, and that we can grow this channel. And with the original goal, as I said, of demystifying our spiritual experience, our life, our full, what I say all the time, all roads lead to spirit. So all of your experience is ultimately spiritual, and it feeds into that realm. And if you slow your movements down, you can sometimes see the feedback from what you feed into that realm. So yeah, I could talk for a while, but I'll do other videos and we'll talk more about how to, go into yourself to get the information that you need to go forward, and how you relate to the creator through yourself. You don't have to have those books. He speaks to your heart. He speaks to your interior spirit, and it aligns with what you see outside in the reality. And so no one can tell you, and no one can distract you or tell you different than what you know when it comes from the inside. So, all right, I'm done. I won't hold you much longer, but I felt I always do. So that's why I do this, because I feel the need, never for ego, never to flex, but to tell you that we are moving into a new timeline. You have an opportunity to reach your highest potential in this lifetime. Don't give up on yourself. And if you do, please don't give up on our grandchildren, because that's what the God Body Society is all ultimately about, right? It is ultimately about those people. Yeah, hey, I'm gonna say this too. I know many of the people who are probably will be associated are people who have, kind of gotten disillusioned with religion. Yet your heart is still pure. You still have a desire to help. You still want to change the world. You still believe in all of these things, but the politics and the people at the place that you used to go to do your spiritual work ain't the same. You don't get the same vibe. And so come visit, hang, meet, let's build. The God Body Society is coming together. Like I said, December 13th, be there. I'd appreciate it. Like I said, there shall be food, there will be speakers, and there will be the opportunity for an open microphone for those who want to speak, who have an idea, a vision, and things to share. So with that being said, I won't hold you much longer, and I appreciate you all giving me some attention here. What I will ask is that you share these videos, because the purpose of this is that we all be able to understand what's going on and be part of it and not be left behind, and that we be, on the front edge of what is about to come, and that is the kingdom. One love, fam.